On this episode of Inside Engineering, we talk with Gene Cascardi and Catherine Cruz-Ortiz about archaeology, the value of permitting, and
adventures from the field.
Inside Engineering starts right now. Inside Engineering, untold stories and fascinating people from the world of civil engineering. This is episode 16, recorded in December 2019. Permitting and Archaeology with Gene Cascardi and Catherine Cruz-Ortiz. Inside Engineering is an RK&K podcast. Learn more at rkk.com/podcast. And welcome back to another episode of Inside Engineering. We're having fun here already. We've just gotten started. As you may have noticed, we are not in our typical studio here today, but we are instead in our studio here in our Fairfax office, and I'm really excited to have with us Catherine Cruz-Ortiz. Catherine, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're an environmental scientist.
Yes, sir.
You do stuff with the environment that is science-based.
Yes.
And,
so I'm told.
And then we've summed up the episode.
Yeah.
There we go. That's it. And sitting to your left is Gene Cascardi. Gene, you are an archaeological field manager. You do archaeological stuff in the field where you manage it.
That's correct.
Dang,
yes.
I'm so good.
You're on it.
I'm on fire today. But thank you both for joining us. I'm excited to hear some of the stories that you have from the field, because you both spend a good amount of time in the field doing stuff. But first, why don't we kind of get out of the way what big picture you each do. You can kind of break it down for us and give us a feel for what you do, and then we can get into some stories and go from there. Sound good? Okay, I'm glad you said yes, because if you hadn't, I don't know what I'd done. That's good. All right, Catherine, why don't we start with you since you're sitting right next to me?
All right, so I'm an environmental scientist. What that entails is I help with the permitting and securing environmental permits to help a project go into construction. That could be from cradle to grave, meaning from design perspective, all the way through to monitoring and mitigation if the project needs it. So generally speaking, I will receive some type of project boundary, and they'll ask me to go out and look for jurisdictional features. And these are features that under law, the U.S. Army Corps would have regulations over. And my job is to go out and start counting trees, delineating wetlands and streams, and then coming back, reporting, and then getting the ball rolling with the Corps and any other agencies to help secure those permits for the project.
With permitting, we've had on the show before some people who do permitting. We had Ryan Lieberher on from our York office, and it's not the most exciting thing when you're looking at it for a big picture, right? Because there's a lot of paperwork involved, I assume. Mm-hmm. But it's a super critical part of what we do.
Yes.
Can you talk about the critical nature of it? Or maybe
well, it's funny because I've
supplied a quote already.
We've already supplied a quote. So you can design the roadiest road that has ever roaded in the history of roads, but without our permits, that road's never leaving the paper.
The roadiest road.
The roadiest road.
That has ever roaded.
That has ever roaded in the history of roads.
In the history of roads.
Yes.
But without your permit.
But without our permit, it's not leaving the paper.
Wow.
Yes.
I think we've just taken Inside Engineering to a new level.
Yes.
I don't know if it's a level above or below where we were previously, but it's new.
Well, a lot of times, I don't want to say that we can take for granted the fact, like the work that we do. But in reality, a permit really can make or break a project, whether or not it goes into construction. If you don't secure the right permit, or if someone were to not follow the permit stipulations, it can shut down a project until those things get fixed or until that permit gets secured. So a lot of the times our work is more due diligence than it is actually writing a permit. Sometimes we don't have to write a permit, but we have to go out there to make sure that there's nothing in the project area that would require a permit.
Jean, what do you have to add to that?
Well, to add to that, I've worked for several companies outside of Virginia where we did a lot of different archaeological mitigations that larger companies who ignored the permitting process had to pay for millions of dollars worth of archaeology and mitigation because they've gone in without their permits and like destroyed sites and waterways, and it can be very costly to designers and big companies building.
Is there what's a cool project that you either each individually or together have worked on? Do you have something a project you're excited about?
Probably my favorite project that I've ever been involved with actually had to do with mitigation rather than actual delineation, that's the bread and butter of my group is the permitting. But occasionally we do get to help design wetland sites. Just a little bit of background. If there is enough, I guess, impacts to a wetland or a waterway, then we are required to provide mitigation a lot of times elsewhere. And what that will probably entail is like if you're destroying so many acres of wetlands, you're going to have to recreate another wetland elsewhere. So my favorite project was actually a mitigation site and just going out and monitoring and seeing how that wetland has created from beginning to where it is now. You see at the beginning where it's just kind of dirt and little plugs of plants until now where it's a thriving area, and now we're seeing wildlife come in. We have a beaver building a dam. Cool. And it's just really cool seeing how nature can kind of just take things back.
Mm-hmm. Jean?
Well, I've worked on a lot of different projects in a lot of different places because I've been doing this a very long time. But I think probably my favorite project working with RK&K was our Bowers Hill Cemetery delineation project, where we found an unexpected cemetery, and we had to go in there and dig a bunch of trenches after we had GPR come in and identify potential grave shafts. That was fun.
It's interesting work. I mean, that's
I mean, we only take off the top soil when we're delineating cemeteries and stuff, and then we just kind of see the stains in the soil that indicate that something has been there or something went into the ground and disturbed it.
Got it. Well, since we're out in the field now on your stories or on talking about some projects that you've been on, what are some fun stories that you have from the field?
Family friendly
stories, please.
Probably the coolest thing that I've ever encountered in the field was a rather large buck that was probably around 7 or 8 feet away from me.
Just staring at you.
It was literally just staring at us. We were doing a wetland delineation. I was playing around on the iPad, just trying to see where's the next place to go. And my coworker, Michelle Harden, shout out. She pauses and says to me, "Catherine, don't move. There is a buck about 50 feet away." And I look up, and there's this huge monster of a deer. And I just freeze. And she's like, "Okay, chill out. He knows we're here. We know he's here." And a few minutes later, the buck leaves. And we're like, "Okay, cool." Breathe a sigh of relief. We keep working. So we keep walking, and we come to a clearing. And again, I'm on the iPad. And then we hear a crack. And I look up, and the buck had doubled back on us and had entered the clearing and was literally 8 feet away from us. And it just pauses. And it stares. And we're just standing there, just waiting. I'm freaking out. Michelle is very calm and collected. She's like, "It's okay. He would have charged us if he wanted to. He's fine. He's just showing us who's boss." And then, just like that, he gave a huff and walked away. And it's literally one of the most awesome experiences I've ever seen. Awesome in the sense of like, yes, I was filled with awe. I had never been that close to a wild animal that wasn't a squirrel ever in my life. And it was scary, but it was unbelievable.
you should spend less time on your iPad.
It was for work.
That's
it was
my
for work.
takeaway. Wow. I'm trying to imagine just from here to the other side of the room, essentially.
We counted. He was like a 10-point buck.
Wow.
He was huge. Huge.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Gene, have you shared any similar levels of excitement?
With rattlesnakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gee, I thought we were going to get safer, but no.
No. I mean, on the animal train or whatever. I've almost stepped on lots of rattlesnakes. I mean, mostly out west when I was working out there. So you stare at the ground a lot when you're doing archaeology, and rattlesnakes tend to blend in a lot. And I was looking down, and I was going to pick up a really nice chalcedony point, and I heard a very large rattle, and it was in striking pose about 2 feet from me. That was scary. But generally, when you're doing archaeology, you're usually like in the backwoods, and we run into a bunch of different animals like bucks, elks out west, bears, grizzly bears. You can hear them from very far away, and that's pretty frightening. And that's all.
You make me glad that I have an office job.
I was on a site once where the property owner said, "Watch out for the goat." I'm like, "What goat?" Apparently, like 2 weeks prior, one of his most stubborn goats escaped his yard, and they haven't been able to catch him. And he was like, "Yeah, just watch out for the goat. He likes to charge people." And we're like, "Okay, cool. Thank you." We never saw him.
You didn't see the goat?
No.
I've been charged by a goat in the field.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
This episode is turning out to not be a great advertisement.
I'm sorry.
For those seeking a career in
Outside.
in the outside. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well, okay.
I like it.
It's thrilling.
It
It's
is.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
All
It's
of these
thrilling.
things aside, it's still thrilling.
Well, I mean, when you're about to step on a rattlesnake, there's no greater thrill than you
The feeling of being alive. That's
Right.
great.
and,
Okay.
and how far you can jump
How far you? Yes.
away.
Is that what you did?
Yes.
You just jumped backwards real fast.
Yeah.
And then booked it.
No, I
You just got
waited.
outside.
I waited
Okay.
so that I could pick up the projectile point because it was really cool. They go away eventually. They're scared. I mean, that's why they're rattling.
That's why they're rattling.
Yeah.
This is great.
They
These are
want-
great snake tips and tricks. Welcome to Inside Snake Management, where we talk about. Okay. Well, in terms of your careers, how has your career progressed to get you to where you are now? Gene, you first.
Okay. Well, I started doing archaeology back in 2003, which is a long time ago. Now that we're coming up on 2020. And I spent several years shovel bumming, which I believe you've heard about
Yes,
before.
we have talked about shovel bumming with
Yeah.
Karen Hutchins-Keim and Matt Bray a couple episodes back, and I learned something then. And so, yes, please tell us about shovel bumming.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I spent, I guess, like 10 years shovel bumming, just kind of traveling around the country.
That nomadic lifestyle that they were talking about.
Yeah, I've worked in 18 different states, and I've worked on some really cool projects. I worked on a mission period burial ground in California, in LA, and I lived out in LA for like 6 months.
So in shovel bumming, just for anyone who didn't see that other episode, can you explain it real quick what shovel bumming is?
Yeah, sure. It's contract archaeology work. People will temporarily hire you for different projects, and you kind of get to pick and choose where you want to go and what you want to do, and it's really a lot of fun.
And the shovel is in the word because you spend a lot of time
Hugging a shovel.
hugging a shovel, digging holes.
Yes.
Right. There
Digging
you go.
holes. Lots of holes. But a lot of the jobs that we do are like phase one jobs. So when you get like a burial ground or something like that, or a big archaic site that's stratified on the Mississippi River, those are like, sites that really have a lot of information in them. So they're a lot of fun. You get to find things that people haven't seen in, a couple thousand years, which is really awesome to me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really neat.
But then I decided after about 10 years of that, I got a job working for the Fairfax County Park Authority doing archaeology, and went and got my master's degree. And once I finished, I landed here at RK&K.
We're happy to have you.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here still after almost 2 years. I mean, when you spend 10 years
Right.
working for a bunch of different companies,
Right.
like
Right.
this is
Out in the like, yeah, you just
this is
when-
great.
this is great.
Yeah.
We have coffee
And it's free.
and it's free.
Yep.
Come work at RK&K.
Free breakfast Fridays.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's true. For breakfast
I
parties.
do like those.
Me too. A lot.
Catherine, how about you?
I guess I've had a more indirect approach to how I got here. I started out with as a bio major, and then kind of like, no, I like animals. And then,
But you're back into your
if
little.
I
like,
want to save animals, I need to save the environment.
Yes, please.
But yeah, I've always taken my career approach as kind of rolling with the punches and seeing what opportunities arise. I started out in nonprofit world. From there, I went to kind of like a half academia, half nonprofit, working for the University of Delaware. We did a lot of extension work there, and it was mostly watershed studies and whatnot for the Nature Conservancy. That was our biggest client. And then I met Jim Eisenhart. Love you, Jim. And he helped me he told me about RK&K, and the rest is history. And I've been here ever since. So for the last 5 years.
If he hasn't gotten his referral bonus, he's going to be looking for it now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. What's something that each of you in your realm of expertise, what's something that you're super passionate about? I didn't give you this question in advance. I'm making you think right now. Or something that just really interests you, like that you
I
get
do a lot
excited
of
about.
public outreach work with a group called the Friends of Fairfax Archaeology, and that's for promoting in our community preservation and conservation of archaeological sites, and kind of just getting the word out to interested people what our cultural resources in Fairfax County and our community can do for us, and what they mean to us, and why we should preserve them and learn about them. And I really like connecting with the public on that kind of level.
That's really in terms of cultural resources. I'm going to go. I'll come back to you in a second. In terms of cultural resources, and how would you explain to someone who maybe doesn't understand the purpose or the need of cultural resources, sort of the value that it provides to the community?
Well, I think that the value it provides the community is it allows us to kind of see the progress that we've made. The progress that we've made in building to where we are today. I mean, cultural resources are like finite resources. So once they're gone, you can never get them back. But they represent all of us and the entire community and like how we've gotten to this point. I don't know if that made sense.
No, that's interesting. I think the thing about them being a finite resource, I think that's really interesting. I hadn't ever thought of it that way. But you always often hear the word preservation. You said that also. So we're preserving these, but yeah, I think thinking of them in a way of, well, once they're gone, like if we haven't preserved them, it's it.
Right, they're gone.
It's done.
Yeah,
It's done.
I mean, and that's I don't know. It's just it is important to me, and I think that getting the public involved in preserving them is very important too, because there's a lot of people who are interested in the history of the area, but they don't actually know that they are.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense either, but.
Well, I think it's in any place that you are and you live, especially if you've lived there for a while or grown up in that general area, like a lot of people have. Once you start to realize that, or really see the history of what's been there, and you see a picture from, 50, 60 years ago from your neighborhood, and you're like, oh, like that's my house is right there now, or oh, I grew up playing, sports on that field. That's what it used to be, this other thing. I think when you can connect to it like that, I think it's really interesting. And so I think that's maybe what you're trying to say is that you don't realize it until you realize it. I feel like I just said something that didn't make any sense at all.
That's okay. I do that all day long.
That's okay. We'll translate it into some other language. Catherine.
I probably am most passionate about, I'm going to be really nerdy here, stream assessments.
Okay. Why? Yes, here we go.
Well, this is going to sound very like way up there. Water is just such a powerful thing, and everything is just so connected to water. I'm never tired of going out into a stream and seeing how it's affected the landscape, how it's affected the topography, how it's currently affecting property values. Like, it's just everything can eventually be turned back to water. And just going out and looking at a stream and saying, like, determining how healthy it is, and if it's not healthy, what can we do to make it healthy again? How will this stream at this one point affect Chesapeake Bay? That's like hundreds of miles away. Like, everything is just so interconnected, and really just the power of water is insane. Just seeing what it can do from just a tiny little rainstorm. Well, tiny to us. But when you go out there and you see how much sediment and rocks and trees that this volume of water can move in such a small creek, it's astounding, actually.
When you go out, well, let's jump into that for a minute because I think that's interesting. When you go out to look at a stream and you've assessed it maybe before and after a storm, is that how you would often do something? Maybe to see the change. If
we're monitoring something, that's what we'll do. Okay. Yeah.
So what are you looking for in changes between before and after a storm, for example? And you mentioned the Chesapeake Bay, which obviously a big thing, and maybe some of those impacts can be of negative things happening to a stream.
So in that sense, we would probably be mostly looking for sediment transport. How much has eroded from the banks? What is it that has eroded from the banks? Going into, and this is a tie-in to cultural resources, a lot of streams here in the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast Coast, a lot of them are historic mill dams, for example. These are streams that are no longer connected to their floodplains. So you're seeing sediment that is coming off of this land that's been there for hundreds of years, from like colonial times, and it's releasing all these pollutants and stuff as the water comes out and it runs it off. So that's something that we would look at is what is being transported, how much is being transported, and where is it going to go?
Yeah, we talked on episode 13, I believe. We talked with Matt Slagle, and he was talking about how phosphorus can effectively bond to sediment a lot, and then it releases into the water. And so that sounds really scary to have all that because you wouldn't normally think like, oh, dirt going into water, like, so what? But it's not really the dirt itself. It's what's the dirt is carrying.
Yes.
Those contaminants. So things that have gotten into the soil washes into the stream and carries it downstream until eventually it's in the bay.
Yes.
And if you're from the Delmarva area, you know that the bay has a lot of challenges in terms of its health. So what haven't I asked you about that you want to talk about?
Field lunches.
Field lunches.
I don't know.
Not what I was expecting, but I
like
it. I like it. And tell me about
Well, I'll tell you. I have like three. I'm going to tell you three of my field rules.
Okay.
All right. That's what I'll talk about. Number one is never get separated from your lunch.
Okay.
Fair.
Is that just a practical, like, you don't want
if
to
somebody
be hungry?
Right. If somebody says, "Oh, we'll be back at the car for lunch," don't believe them. Always bring your lunch with you.
Okay.
Yes, that is very true. I've gotten very hangry sometimes.
I got it. Okay.
I mean, people promise you things, and sometimes they can't deliver. So never get separated from your lunch. Don't fall down, because falling down is really bad. And that could lead to rule number 3, don't die. Nobody dies for archaeology.
These are very, wow.
Yeah.
Some very practical rules, and clearly, well thought out.
Thank you.
No, that's good. So don't get separated from your lunch. Don't fall down. Don't die.
Yep.
It's a sort of, I can get down with those. Yeah, that's good.
I would add, don't go out alone.
Yeah, that's good. Let's get real price
Yeah.
safety. Be smart.
Yeah.
Have a buddy. All right. Well, that means, drum roll, please. That's a terrible. That wasn't very good. It's time for your picks of the week. Pick whatever it is. It's time for you to pick something that you think we're gonna like. Catherine, you're closer.
Okay.
Don't steal mine.
Oh, I'm gonna now. No. My pick of the week is hit that. A Netflix movie, a new Netflix original. It's a Christmas cartoon, actually. It's called Klaus.
Oh, I've seen it on. I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen it. It's showing it to saying that I should watch it.
It's very good. I watched it. What was it? I watched it a few weeks ago, and it was mostly because my baby would not go to sleep. So I said to her, if you're going to be awake, well, then let's be entertained. And we sat down and we watched Klaus. She fell asleep within half an hour because she's 9 months old. But I kept watching it. It was great. It's like a new take on how Santa Claus came to be. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Klaus. There it
Klaus.
is.
Yep.
Netflix.
Do it.
Get
2
Watch
thumbs
it
up.
now. 2 thumbs up. Right. Let's not talk about the thumb system on Netflix.
Oh,
Gosh.
Is there a thumb?
Terrible. It's a thumb. It's a thumb up and thumb down. Did you like it or did you not like it? There's no star rating anymore.
Oh,
It's terrible. Netflix, if you're listening, this is bad.
I don't use that system.
That's okay.
I mean, I use Netflix, but not the thumb up, thumb down.
Yeah.
So my pick of the week is also television related, and it's His Dark Materials on HBO.
Okay.
I love that show. It's really good. You should all watch it. It's about the Golden Compass. Well, it
Oh,
is
right.
the-
Yeah, there's a movie, the Golden Compass movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a book first, I think.
book
There's
first.
2 books, and one of them is called His Dark Materials, and this is
So they made is it a full series or a mini series?
a full series.
series. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's wrapping up next week. Real good.
Okay. All right. There we go. So Klaus and His Dark Material. All right. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of Inside Engineering. A new episode comes out every Tuesday, and you can watch or listen to every episode on demand at our website at rkk.com/podcast. You can also catch us on many of the podcasting platforms out there, including Apple, Spotify, Google, a bunch of others where you can like, rate, review, share, and do all the things you're supposed to do with a podcast. We also have a short anonymous survey on our website that lets us know how we're doing. And so give us some feedback if you have a chance. And thanks for watching. Thanks, Catherine. Thanks, Gene.
thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all are great. We'll see y'all next time on another episode of Inside Engineering.